My name is Matt Teske, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Chargeway. If you are shopping for an EV or if you own an EV, definitely download the Chargeway mobile app. It really simplifies how to use charging for both plugs and power that you have to navigate. It's like Sesame Street for charging, really. It really kind of makes it super easy. So it's on iOS and Android. Give that a download. And also, in every single city here at the EV Reality Check booth, I'm joined by a co-host. And here in San Francisco, it is Dario Pagani from Autel.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a fantastic experience so far. A great day. You know, I love being here with a bunch of EV enthusiasts, and we got a great conversation coming up.
I was going to say, we're talking about more charging here at the EV Reality Check booth, and this is going to be a conversation really about, well, I guess, we're going to cover a lot, I would imagine. So we're joined by Vilson, again,
It's Fejzullau.
Fejzullau. I almost said it down. Vilson Fejzullau. You're the CEO of EVCore.
Yep, I'm the CEO of EVCore Charging. We're based out of Fremont, and we make chargers so that we can charge our cars.
Well, so again, you said it so easily. You make it sound so simple. We make chargers so you can charge your car. So specifically, though, in the last conversation we had, it was a lot of discussion about home charging, charging where you park your vehicle. Where is the focus for EVCore? Is it really for charging on lower power, charging on higher power? Where do you guys focus?
So we make both level 2, which are the home chargers, and like slow chargers. But we're concentrating more on the fast chargers. As a matter of fact, we are working on a megawatt power cabinet.
Well, there you go. So for those at the megawatt, it's one shy of Doc Brown and Back to the Future and Gigawatt, basically, right?
More or less.
More or less. Yeah. But that's a lot of power. That's a lot of juice.
It is a lot of power, but that's what we're here today, right? We're going to be talking about like how fast you can charge the vehicle because of systems like this.
Well, it's important that's what people want to talk about almost all the time, is if you're at a dealership, for example. A good example is, again, we got a Subaru Solterra here. This is, again, from GreenCars.com and the local Lithia showrooms. By the way, you can lease that thing for $98 a month if anybody's interested.
Wow.
That car right there.
That takes me back to 2016.
I know, right? Again, my first car, I'm like, that is amazing. No, but really what we're talking about is, at the dealership level, as an example, when you're out buying a car, Expo is here to give you an experience with test driving whatever you want, all of what you want, getting a chance of what it feels like to be behind the wheel of the car. But for charging, whether you're at a dealership or if you're just researching at home, there's a lot to figure out about how that works for not only the station that you're looking for, but even the car that you buy and how it can charge.
Yeah, well, so there are some questions. Right now it's about the battery architecture of the vehicles. The average battery charges at 400 volts. So if you're going to charge at home, you can probably charge 7 kilowatt, which you have to be looking at level 2.
Let's pause there, though. Most people are going to go kilowatt. What just happened there, Vilson? What happened?
Yeah, so we're just going to talk about like how slow or fast they charge. So if you're going to charge at home, you're going to need a level 2. That charger, you can go on Amazon and just pick one for $500. Yet you have
a UL certified one, for the love of God.
I don't think you can.
just checking.
I think that Amazon wouldn't sell them if they weren't UL certified.
You never know, man. I see horror stories. But
I agree.
Level 2, again, level 1 is like plugging into a wall outlet, right?
Those don't even exist anymore.
Well,
if they are, emergency only.
If you, for example, I plug my car into level 1 every day, and I've been driving EVs for 12 years. So you can do it.
You can. I'm not saying
it's an option, but it's going to take you days. That level 2 gives you that option to power up overnight.
Correct. So pretty much you get about 20 miles per hour. So I think if you have the average battery is about 100, or right now 80 kilowatt. You need to charge probably 40 to 50 kilowatt hours every night. That would take about 7 hours.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is if you drove, for example, you drove half your battery down, and if you decided, I got to go on a road trip tomorrow, I got to get back to 100%, that'll cover you at home.
Definitely. A 7 kilowatt, 7 hours, you should be fine by morning.
So, but then the next step beyond that is I leave my house, I got to go fill up. I don't want to talk about a 4 to 8 hour fill up.
Now, that's where it gets a little more complicated, because depending on where you are charging, depending on, the CPO where you're going, is you can charge as fast as 15 minutes and be out of there. In 15 minutes, you can get literally probably 150 miles. And it's easier, and this is what I was saying.
This is true. This is no lie. That's the thing, is you have to know that your car can charge that fast, and when you pull up at that station, you need to know it's going to give you that amount of power to get you out there.
Correct.
In 15 minutes, right?
It takes 2 to tango, both cars and the charger.
Takes 2 to tango.
Well, the other thing is that once you get to a certain point, then your charging goes a little bit slower, right? Yep. So can you tell us a little bit about how that charging curve works and why, you get to like 85, 90%, you're like, okay, I'm kind of like trickling.
Yeah, if you pull in at 1% at a charging station, your battery is saying, hey, just fill me up, right?
Yes, so definitely you'll charge a lot faster if the battery is like a lot lower. But I mean, generally, I mean, we drive EVs in general, and I don't go anywhere with less than 20%, which is actually everybody is advised to do and keep because it keeps the health of the battery better. But for all intents and purposes, we consider 100% charge 20 to 80%.
See, I got to tell you that right there. I think the industry is making a mistake.
Me?
No, the industry's making a mistake. I think I honestly, like, if I'm here shopping today for the first time and I hear, 100% is 20 to 80, that's a tough thing to hear. It's a hard thing to sell.
It is, but I mean, this depends. I'm leasing my car, so I go 20 to 100. I don't care much about the health of the battery because I'm returning this. I mean, I'm not going to say, like, but if you're buying your vehicle and you're worried long-term health of your battery, I know a lot of my colleagues who actually have purchased their EVs, they actually do that. They follow it, and every once in a while, they do charge to 100%. That's not a problem.
Sure, yeah.
But I agree with your point. Now, there is also practical aspects to this. Your vehicle will start trickle charging after 80%, depending on the type of vehicle, but then it would take you probably another hour to charge from 80 to 100.
Yeah, so if you're road tripping, for example, what you need to do is basically charge enough to basically get back on the road, and that's where you get to leapfrog through chargers on the highway. Because if you decide to hang out because you want 100%, it's like, well, that last 20 is going to take you a lot longer. And the reason being, and for those listening that aren't familiar with the technology, when a battery is basically empty, you can fill it up really fast with a lot of energy or a lot of power. But then as the energy fills up in the battery pack, basically what you're filling up with is electrons. And those electrons have to find out where they're going inside that pack. So the car is intelligent enough, the charger is intelligent enough to say, okay, let's slow this power down so we can help those electrons find out where they got to go. And it keeps the battery pack healthy. Basically it's a safety measure, and it keeps things working longer over time without, again, forcing too much power in and damaging the battery.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, you know how long you're going to be parked for, and you can plan around it. You can basically be like, I'm going to stop here for 15 minutes. I'm going to get a quick cup of coffee, quick rest break, especially if not a long road trip, and then I'm going to move on and do the same thing, 200 miles down the road.
It's all about understanding how each of these options work for basically your personal experience, right? So to that extent, when you drive a particular car, like a good example here is this Solterra. Yep. The Super Solterra is, in many ways, like an ideal car. It's a hatch. It's got a lot of room. You can fit a lot of things in it. And then it's got decent range. It's got, again, I think about 280 miles of range. What you then run into is you do need to understand its charging capability. If you were to put a Solterra, for example, next to a brand new Hyundai Ioniq 5, those two vehicles arguably might be considered the same by sake of what they operate like as a car. But for charging, the Ioniq 5 at the right station can get back on the road in 15 minutes. The Solterra, however, would take probably about 45 minutes to an hour. That's a big, big difference.
Yeah, it's very likely. But to your point, I mean, even the Solterra, the chargers themselves, the technology has changed. We can deliver a lot more power, even, like with the Solterras. I mean, you can get now air-cooled cables. I'm getting a bit technical, but you can get up to 500 amps. That would bring you at probably 160 kilowatt, even with a regular 400-volt battery. So we're talking 150 to 160 kilowatt. It's a third of an hour, so 20 minutes, even with a regular vehicle.
Yeah, and again, this is all about what's happening, like you said, like 2 to tango.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how you work with automakers and making sure that the charger actually can work really well with the vehicle once you pull up? Like, obviously there's a lot of work that goes behind the scene with it.
Yeah, and that hasn't happened a lot in the industry. Sometimes these cars are built, they kind of do their own internal testing, they put them out in the wild, and then we as drivers find out, wait a minute, did you guys actually validate that this could work?
Yeah, do you guys talk to each other?
Exactly. It's happening a lot more now than it used to.
Yes, but that's why we do a lot. We call it interoperability. I mean, every day we bring like different vehicles, different cars, because like you mentioned, like every car, every automaker, like their BMS, their battery management system is different. Their computers and their software, the way that they run things is different. So the only way that we can ensure compatibility is by actually testing.
Right, yeah, and again, this requires, we talked about this a little bit earlier too, about how there's all these little walled gardens that have existed for a long time in the EV industry. But the cool thing about, I think, and what Expo kind of showcases is that there is a lot more collaboration going on now behind the scenes than there used to be. And again, you could even point to things that people probably know about publicly. 2 years ago when Ford decided to say, look, we want to switch to Tesla's plug type so we can take advantage of their supercharger network for our customers, that really changed the conversation of charging in North America.
Well, it did. What it did is that right now I still don't see that happening as fast as it should.
Oh yeah, there's certainly it's kind of being pieced out. Yeah.
Right, because at the same time, like you also have Stellantis and all the other ones coming up with Iona, which is their own network, right? And I think that it might have been good for attention, but I don't think that eventually it's going to be happening.
Well, I think
at
the
that level.
challenge that exists is that it's oftentimes I think you have to live the experience of owning an electric car from if you're on the industry side to understand the best decisions for what will be good for a driver. And I think oftentimes in the industry there's folks that are working very hard on these topics, but they may not be living it out. And that's especially true at the legacy automakers. They, again, from their perspective, they're building a car. They're like, we got to put a big battery in it. It's got a plug on it. And okay, cool, it's an electric car. But the fueling experience with electricity, all the dynamics we're talking about, that has to be really a lived experience in the product development. Otherwise, you're kind of like fixing it after the fact, right?
Well, I mean, I can talk about this, that, I think that for the first time, the charging technology is ahead of the vehicle. That we can provide a lot more power than the vehicle can actually take.
Oh, I'd say that's true, yeah.
So, it's like, at this point, it's up to the vehicle. So I guess that, like talking about the Tesla connector and talking about the CCS1, kind of like we can provide both. At the end of the day, like there's no more difference. I don't think that, I do like how easy it is to charge with the Tesla connector. I mean, physically it's a lot smaller.
It's an elegant design.
It's an elegant design, and it takes up less space. It's lighter. Like I think
the test that I had a buddy of mine he's like, okay, I'm going to take my grandmother out, and we're going to try to charge that car and that car. And every time that happened, it was always like, yeah, the Tesla connector is just, she could manage it. And but these are things there's that old video of Steve Jobs when he gets asked that question of like, when he came back to Apple, and he's like, where have you been forever? And we've been working hard, and what have you done for anything? And he brought up a great point. This is, again, 30 years ago, basically. He said, we could be sitting in a room with the engineers and say, what cool stuff can we come up with and build it, and then go try to figure out how to market that, or we can say, where do we take our customers? That was a very candid way to say, we can't just take technology and throw it at people just because it, quote, works. We have to make it work for people.
No, I agree with that. And I mean, ultimately, though, it just depends on the automakers because they have a lot of power, depending on what they want to put out there.
They do have
we can't just go now that, okay, we do want this much better looking charger, right? Or this connector. At the end, they want to have it. And, it's about what kind of control they want to have. They want to have control over the network. They want to have control over the charging experience. And how do you ensure that?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, from a driver standpoint, we just want it to work, right? So we want to be able to pull up, plug in, and it works. So from your perspective, I mean, when it comes to, the speed of charge, let's go back to kind of the main topic that we're talking about, is, it's only going to be as fast as you need it. That should be always the case. It's like we should always provide the appropriate speed for the use case. So if I'm at a movie, I should be able to fill up in a couple hours.
Yeah.
If I am just stopping by my dry cleaner, I may want to just get a quick fill up for 10 minutes.
Well, the dynamic of that is interesting because then it turns into what's the dwell time for a car at a given location. I love the movie theater example because that's true. Is if you pull up with 5%, you don't necessarily need to be out there in 15 minutes. If you just kind of go plug in, and if the movie's 2 hours long, you come back out, you're basically full. But that's education on how the fill-up time works based on, again, in the past, people just go, I want my fast fill-up because that's all I think I know I need. But this is that dynamic of a variable speed fill-up.
And a lot of it has to do from, changing pattern, right? From me going to the gas station and wanting to fill up, and I barely have time to look through my phone,
right,
to going to basically not waiting until my battery is empty, but lily padding around from charger to charger as I can. And I think that's really where, industry people can.
So you said you guys are testing megawatt charging now. That's more for like medium and heavy duty vehicles though. That for cars that are here on display and drivable today here at Expo, that's really more so again in the realm of what we've seen up until now. But the medium and heavy duty trucks, they're going to require a ton of power to get back on the road.
They do. I mean, I think that the average truck, the semis, their battery is about 560, 600 kilowatt hour.
Yeah, or bigger.
Or bigger.
Yeah.
So it's probably you can have like 10 batteries for regular vehicles.
Yeah. For those who don't know what a kilowatt hour is, basically that if you see an electric semi truck, you're talking about a battery pack inside of that thing that is basically anywhere from 5 Model S Tesla batteries up to maybe 8 to 10.
Correct.
That's a ton. It's a lot of weight. That's a lot of battery. But the cool thing is, as you said, that charging technology is advancing quickly. And so trucks like that can actually fill up very quickly because of the technology you're talking about.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. But I mean, the megawatt charging is also the power that we can distribute now. Like from one power cabinet, we can have a lot more stations. And this is what you see with Electrify America and what you see with other ones. And that's where it gets a little more complicated. Because sometimes they go like 350 kilowatt. However, if you get 8 connectors in there, and then you got 2 360 kilowatt power cabinets, you're not going to get that.
Right. Well, this is where I invite everybody to download Chargeway. Because if you're hearing all this, it can sound complicated, but if you add your EV to the app, it's going to tell you what color plug you use, and it's going to use simple numbers 1 through 7 to identify a lot of these technical things we're talking about. So if you're at a level 7 charger, that's your 15-minute fill up. A level 6 charger, that's a 45-minute fill up. Level 5, it's over an hour. So it helps you navigate a lot of these complexities we're talking about. But at the end of the day, if you rewind 10 years, boy, like, we have done a lot in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to see what 10 years from now looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as megawatt charging, like, when are we going to start seeing it on the ground?
Probably by next year.
Okay, so are you working with the manufacturers on corridors that they are going to need to have charging at? What's the deployment look like for you guys for that type of infrastructure?
So when we talk about this, is what I was saying, that megawatt charger will go to both fleet and CPOs. So like it pretty much can go for charging the fast, semis that we just talked about. But even like we're talking school buses, we can just bring it down to 40 or 75 kilowatt, per connector. I mean, we can support 16 connectors with that.
Well, that's the beauty of, again, power as it relates to how you get it to where it's located is the biggest challenge, too. Oftentimes, that's a really biggest challenge, as we talked about for municipal, like someone who lives in a condo or an apartment. It's like, even for like lower power charging, getting the power to you is sometimes a challenge. What we're talking about with megawatt charging, the scale of that is thousands of times more. And that's the part where a lot of people, I think they just kind of tilt their head back and go, this is a lot, this is too much. But the cool thing is what you're describing is it's already happening now. Many of the charging stations that are being deployed today by some of these major networks, you mentioned Electrify America, Iona, and some of these other ones, the charging stations they're putting in now are 8 times the speed of what we saw typically being installed 7 to 10 years ago. That's incredible. And the cool thing is the utilities are keeping up with a lot of this, because if they couldn't, those chargers wouldn't be going in the first place.
Yep. Well, it's also being helped. Energy storage is another one that you can actually add, and you can help, because it's not just like having the power, it's also having those demand charges where the power can get a lot more expensive, like during peak hours. But yeah, I mean, keep in mind that every charger that goes down today is going to be there for the next 10 years.
Right.
So we have to take into account the technology of the cars that's going to move with that. For now, like I said earlier, we are a bit ahead of the vehicle or the car technology, but not for long.
Yeah, a lot of the cars that are available today, I mean, many of them, if not most of them, can fill up at a fast charger in about 30 to 40 minutes. But a lot of them can fill up even faster than that. And that's the beauty of it, is a lot of those chargers going in today are designed for that future faster fill up. So we kind of got to wrap it up. I guess anything else you want to add, Dario? I mean, with this a few rabbit holes again, but I think we brought it back to the surface again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like how easy it is it to charge, and am I going to get a full battery by the time I need to leave?
There you go, or enough to get down the road, right? Yeah. So, well, Vilson, anything else you want to add? For those who want to find out about EVCore, how do they find out about you guys?
Well, you can go to our website, EVCoreCharging.com, or, like pretty much on LinkedIn, we're everywhere. So
there you go. Well,
thank you.
I guess with all that's happening, is there any final thoughts you have on where you think? I mean, number one is, how many times have you been to Expo before? Is this your first Expo?
This is my first one.
Boom, there you go. So I guess for all that you're working on behind the curtain, what do you think?
No, we love it. And this is what we were discussing is like, actually, we have to have more of this. I congratulated one of my friends talking yesterday about, he was talking about servicing chargers. And I go like, talks like this, people need to understand it, because at the end, there's a lot more happening behind the scenes to make those chargers work.
Well, it's incredible, and the same is true for the gas industry. It's had a century to get itself to maturity for where we're at. The speed at which we're making electricity as a fuel viable as an option, it's so much work, but it is happening now. So for those listening, again, this is the EV Reality Check booth. It is powered by GreenCars.com. We're going to be talking to many more people from the industry that are making the industry happen, such as experts like Vilson from EVCore Charging. Vilson, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, guys.